grass against his cheek. His middle was going cold now, and his legs were buzzing with pins and needles. He looked back up at the train, his vision shrinking into a red-hazed tunnel. He saw a single white face at the nearest window in the front car. A young face, no more than a kid, maybe 15, 16. One of the guards? He tasted salt in the back of his throat, and it was becoming really hard to get a breath of air. Why hadn't that kid gotten off the train? What was he doing in there among all those boxes while his comrades outside were being slaughtered like beeves? One of the horsemen saw the kid's face and surged his horse forward, his black cap-and-ball pistol pointing at the window. The engineer heard the major's voice call out, "No, not him. Leave that one be." The horseman reined up. "That's your spy? That boy?" "Train was right here when it was supposed to be, weren't it?" "Yeah, but you said now, no goddamn witnesses." "There won't be," the major said, getting down off his horse. "But I need to know one more thing." Then the engineer heard the other horseman swear. He realized he had been spotted, eavesdropping on their conversation. He tried to crawl up the bank, trying to get under the locomotive, but his limbs had turned to rubber. He thought he heard the major say, "Oh, God damn it," and then a bolt of lightning exploded in his head, and he was gone to see the baby Jesus. The present. "Right here's where it happened," the realtor said, puffing a little as we climbed the embankment to the abandoned railroad line. "April 4th, 1865. Right up here. About an hour after sundown." It was an early spring day, and the faded right-of-way pointed down to the Dan River on my right. The rails and ties were long gone. All that remained of the 19th century trestle was the stone abutments on both sides of the river and the stumps of pylons out in the current. The abutment on the Carolina side was fortified, complete with a tower for sharpshooters and 2 pads for cannons. On the Virginia side, the abutment was a plain stone wall. Beyond it stood a dense grove of what the Carolina locals called Virginia pines, supervised by a few ancient lightning-bit oaks. "They waited over there in those woods," he said, pointing to our left, where the rail line bent around the base of a small hill and then disappeared into a notch in the woods. "This was a watering stop. See that iron tower?" A 4-legged, rusting steel structure crouched to our left. At its base were the remains of a barrel-shaped water tank, perhaps 10 feet in diameter. The wooden staves were gone, but the hoops and bands were still there. "The locomotives would stop under that tower and lower a water hose into the tender. That's what they were doing when them bastards rode out of those woods yonder and started shooting. They caught the guards with their pants down, some of them literally so." "They were after gold?" He frowned. "That gets a little fuzzy, history-wise. Supposedly, the train was carrying important documents, government records and such. It could have been carrying part of the Confederate treasury, but old Jeff Davis had already come through with the bulk of it, on his way to getting caught wearing a dress down in Georgia. Even so, yeah, most folks think there was gold behind what happened here." I'd heard the story when I first started looking at the property, 2 months back. The plantation was called Glory's End, a 700-acre cotton and tobacco farm in Rockwell County, northeast of Triborough. One of the disclosure elements was that there were 2 graveyards on the property, one dating back to the end of the Civil War, the other lost on the property somewhere. "They kill all the guards?" "They killed everybody. Guards, train crew, a lot. Just shot 'em down. Local folks heard all the shooting, but they was afraid to come out in the dark. Next morning they found the train sitting right here."